Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for 6 things we learnt from Chelsea 0, Liverpool 0, Liverpool win the Carabao Cup Final, 11-10 on penalties. 2 things before we get into this one. This is an interesting video as the 6 things we learnt because A, best 0-0 game of football I've ever watched in my life. B, we got to deal with the heartbreak, I guess you can say, of losing a cup final. Before we do talk about the game though, obviously I've not posted a video for a week. If you've been living under a rock, then you probably won't know, but most of you already know by now that there is a war going on in Ukraine. And as much as directly for me, it doesn't impact me, there are people very, very close to me in my life who it does directly impact, with friends, family. So I've been a bit occupied, as I'm sure you can understand, considering the situation it's a disaster. And I just hope that humanity can kind of sort out our issues so that this doesn't persist, doesn't continue to get any worse. But I'm back today with the 6 things we learned video. If you don't know about this series, it is the series where after every Chelsea game, we talk about the good, we talk about the bad, we talk about the things that could improve. And I think this match was one where, realistically, I don't think we could have played much better. As a collective, there are certainly individuals that could have done better, should have done better. We could have been 1-0 up inside 4 minutes, but Christian Pulisic hits it straight at the keeper. Mason Mount has countless chances that he didn't manage to score. And I think as much as we can all say, yeah, well, Edouard Mendy, he was in the zone of optimal confidence going into that final couple of minutes, and then Kepa comes on because Kepa is the penalty specialist. We're going to talk about this within the video today, but overall, I don't think I've ever witnessed a game of football that has had no goals in it up until the penalty shootout that not only entertained me beyond belief, but had so many talking points involved in it that Lukaku scores a goal in extra time that no matter which flipping language you're speaking, no matter how many of your eyes work or don't work, it's a goal by the rules of the game, and yet we've brought in a video assistant referee who still can't get it right. But I say that, and I also believe that Matip's goal in the normal 90 minutes should also be a goal. And when it was disallowed, I didn't know why. I'm like, if you're going to bring this back to a video assistant referee and then still disallow it, I need to have some verification as to why this is the case. And not just from footballing pundits after the game, but we need some like scientific, technological proof as to why these decisions have actually been a part of the game. It's ridiculous. We've had question after question about VAR since it was introduced into our sport. Yet I honestly think that, particularly for these big games, they'll either give the referee like very strong liquor in the changing rooms before they go out instead of water, or there's genuinely, which is actually what I believe, jokes aside, there is like an alarmingly shocking level of refereeing and just common sense within the rules of the game and what we're seeing in front of our very eyes. There is a total lack of anything good about refereeing in England, about VAR and the ambiguity that we wish to eradicate that seems to now be even more frequent than it ever was before, let alone the argument that we have about absolutely ruining moments in football, which is always going to be the case, but most of us wanted it to be the right calls, didn't we? If they can't even make the right calls with a video assistant referee, then flipping get rid of it so that we can have our sport back. We can have our celebrations. We can have our ecstasies without it just being taken away. And in a cup final like that was played on a knife edge, high octane from second 1 all the way through to the end of extra time and all the way through to the moment where Kepa sends the ball into the Liverpool fans behind the goal. So I've already been sat here for 5 minutes nearly talking, so we better get in to the meat and potatoes of this one. There's a blue box for Edouard Mendy, who put in one of the most incredible goalkeeping performances I've ever seen, as did his Liverpool counterpart Kelleher, who I just want to say, amazing stuff. Jurgen Klopp keeps with the goalkeeper that's got them there, and he absolutely delivered and scored a wonderful penalty too. Not a dig at Tuchel. We're going to talk about the Mendy-Kepa thing in a second, but first of all, Edouard Mendy is a phenomenal goalkeeper. Absolutely phenomenal. And for him to walk away with a runners-up medal from that game is criminal. And I'm not saying that it's Kepa's fault. I'm certainly not saying that it's Kepa's fault whatsoever. But Edouard Mendy played a football match that people will genuinely remember. If he was on the winning side and he stayed on and we won, people would talk about that Mendy Cup final performance for a very, very long time, whether it's Carabao Cup Final or any other more prestigious Cup Final, let's just say. And I'm not just saying that because we lost. I know what people get like on here. But Mendy was sensational. He made some outstanding saves, astronomical saves. And then for him to be bought off, box number 2 is a yellow for Kepa. It's a yellow because it isn't his fault. You take off a goalkeeper who is playing out of his skin at an optimum level of confidence. And when you keep making saves like that, I'm sorry, but as much as we can and ah and think about it all we like, I think that Mendy would have saved one of the 11 penalties that Kepa didn't save. So that isn't me saying that Kepa was awful. Yeah, Kepa should have done better, but you bring him on, you give him 80 seconds on the pitch, and then you're like, go on then, sunshine, go and win us the final. Even though hindsight is a beautiful thing, Thomas Tuchel got this one wrong. And I would understand it based off of the historical stats that show that Kepa saving penalties is far more likely than Mendy saving penalties. But the issue is, Mendy was having a sensational game. Mendy was playing so well that even if he's not the penalty guy, you still back him to save one of those 11 penalties. There were a couple that Kepa got close to. I think the Van Dyke penalty is one of the best penalties I've ever seen, because Kepa kind of gives him the eyes, tries to bluff him by standing in the corner he knows he's going into. Virgil van Dijk's just like, this guy, does he really want to play this game? Nah, no one wanted to play that game. Liverpool's penalties were fantastic, which is why nobody should be mad at Kepa. Yes, we think he could have saved a couple, but you've got to also take into account, we're playing in front of the Liverpool fans. If Chelsea would have won the toss, it could have been a different story again. In front of the Liverpool fans, we are against probably, in my opinion right now, the best team in Europe. I think Liverpool are a better side than Man City right now. I think they're the best team on the continent, the best team in the country right now. And I don't really think there's much that Kepa could have done considering the situation. And I'm gutted for Mendy that he ends up going away with a runners-up medal. But after all of the times we've discussed Mendy, Kepa, how lucky Chelsea are, when we look back to those a couple of years ago when Kepa really wasn't playing that well, I think despite what happened here, and some fans could be like, oh, he's useless, he couldn't even save 1 of 11. At the end of the day, these things happen. I personally think that it was the wrong call, considering just how good Edouard Mendy was playing up until that point. We move into box number 3. It's a green box for Thiago Silva. This guy was absolutely incredible. Making blocks, making tackles, winning the ball, carrying the ball. Everything that Thiago Silva did, if Chelsea would have won that 11-10 on penalties, everybody would have been singing about Thiago Silva the same way that everyone's talking about just how monumental Virgil van Dijk was for Liverpool. Van Dijk got man of the match, and he also is on the winning team. Thiago Silva, as much as a lot of the Chelsea players out there, there are quite a few players who did not deserve to be on the losing team. I thought Rudiger was very good. I want to give a massive shout out to Marcus Alonso, who dealt with Mo Salah very well for pretty much the whole game and still contributed in an attacking sense to Chelsea. Chelsea were good, you know. We made the better chances, I think, compared to Liverpool. Thiago Silva, I think, blocked so many of Liverpool's best efforts, and he led so well for Chelsea that even a Luis Diaz, who played fantastically for Liverpool, up against Trevoh Chalobah, who's box number 4, he was excellent as well. And again, I've got to bring up this decision. We want to spend some time at the beginning talking about VAR. Trevoh Chalobah reportedly had 6 stitches as a result of the tackle that isn't a tackle from Naby Keita. But just to emphasise the unconditional issue with Premier League refereeing right now, the advantage is played in favour of Liverpool as a result of this moment where Naby Keita doesn't touch the ball, goes through Chalobah, ending up needing... Trevoh Chalobah needed 6 stitches, yet the advantage is given to Liverpool. It blows my mind how this is even a conversation. And to me, it ruined an incredible spectacle. Yeah, okay, I think the Lukaku offside is just never offside, and that is even less debatable than the Liverpool goal that even I, as a Chelsea fan, have admitted here should have been a goal, in my opinion. It kind of ruined the whole flipping thing. Thiago Silva, Trevoh Chalobah were the two standout defenders for me. What I love about Chalobah, if we move into box number 4, is that Trev plays with a confidence which I believe is a result of being alongside Aspi, Rudiger, Thiago Silva. He plays with this almost arrogance when he's on the ball that he knows he's a baller. And for a young defender who's only broken into the first team this season, you love to see that. He signed a new big contract. You got talks of Aspi, Christensen both leaving the club this summer, as it looks as though they won't be signing new deals. But Trevoh Chalobah, even if people were like, yep, we need to bring in multiple defenders this summer, Trev keeps his place. Trev is a phenomenal player up against, again, Mane, Luis Diaz, who's a fantastic signing from Liverpool, by the way, Mo Salah, Jota. They had such an incredible attack, but Chelsea nullified them from minute 1 all the way through to the end, which is why, even though there are big talking points about what we did badly, such as finishing, and we'll get onto this in a moment, but I couldn't have been prouder of the way that Chelsea played, if I'm honest, and a lot of that was down to the resilience of our defence. We move into box number 5, and I've given a green again to Kai Havertz. You might be thinking, surely at some point here, you're going to slate someone. Yes, I am, all right? For those of you that comment before watching the whole video, yes, I am. But I think Kai Havertz was fantastic once again. We can argue all we like that he doesn't deliver in the Premier League. In big games, Kai Havertz shows up. He was unlucky not to have a goal. I think the way that he carried the ball and the way he was patient with the way that he made passes in the final third, I thought were brilliant. He was all over the shop. He was putting in strong tackles, strong shoulders. Kai Havertz is a big game player. We saw that in the Champions League final. We see it in the Club World Cup final. And I also thought he was Chelsea's best attacking player throughout the entirety of the match. Lukaku, I want to mention Lukaku, thought he was excellent when he came on. Scored a perfectly legitimate goal, which is what we know he can do. But he doesn't get a box because box number 6 is a red for Mason Mount. The finishing, it's just awful really in this game, to be honest, from Mason. I think overall, he didn't have the best game. And as much as when you lose a penalty shootout after a glorious 120 minutes of 0-0 football, and you lose after 21 kicks of a ball, with the 22nd kick from your goalkeeper, who's your substitute keeper, you don't want to scapegoat one person. However, he's got to score at least one of the chances that he had. And because he didn't, Chelsea don't win the cup final, we lose the cup final. It is as simple as that. It isn't to say that, everyone's like, oh, now surely everyone who loves Mason Mount so much is going to say he's not ready, he's not good enough. Nah, I don't believe in any of that rubbish. I know how football fans act. I know how stupid people can be when it comes to taking one game and using that as judgment for the future. Mason Mount is a phenomenal footballer. His finishing in this final was terrible. And if we want to pinpoint it as to what the one reason is, would be the easiest one to blame, it would be Mason Mount's finishing as a result of this. However, I want to end by simply saying, what an incredible game of football after a horrible week of just living for humanity, to be honest. At least football can be something that brings people together. Whether your team wins or loses, it's entertainment. It is something that can deflect away from bad times. And I, for one, feel awful for saying bad times because I'm personally not really going through a bad time. I know there are some people watching this video right now who might be really struggling, who might be involved in a war zone, who might be in a position where they don't know where their next meal's going to come from. And over the course of the last week, with everything that people close to me's family and friends are going through back in their homes, I've kind of just been at a loss, really, in terms of like how I can keep going, talking about Chelsea spending all this money on this player, or how good is it if we get this, if we get that. So yeah, if you've wanted to know why I've not made any videos, I've just felt lost with just human beings and life and whatever. But I'm back now, and I know there's a lot of people asking me a lot of questions about what do I think of Abramovich. It's taken me a whole week and I still haven't figured out the best way for me to actually deliver that information, because the moment you get involved or don't get involved in politics, people already start to formulate their opinions, and I don't know if a YouTube video is going to be enough time for me to actually explain what I feel. So yeah, that's why I've been keeping my mouth shut, you can say. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the final. I know we didn't enjoy the result. If you did enjoy this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you can. If you are new around here, we got Luton on Wednesday, so there's going to be videos coming out back again every day now. And yeah, I will try and get you the video that I know you will want my opinion to sometime very, very soon. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Come on, you Blues.